states. It's not one of the 50 states. In Wichita, go to Italy, France, I mean anywhere, because not that it's better than here, but the appreciation for what they have, the culture, the understanding, the love of food. You know, Japanese people, 1/3 of their disposable income is food. Not iPods, not cigarettes, not food. Not smoking oregano. But actual food. So imagine 1/3 of your paycheck. Food. They don't go to Costco, Sam's Club. They don't go to Super Joe's store and buy the friggin' food for a week. They go every day. They stop on the way home. Whatever they're cooking that night is bought that day. They don't shop. They don't stock up the freezer. Most of them don't have rooms for freezers. It's a great way of life. You know, I was very fortunate. That's probably the biggest thing that's ever influenced me is all my travel, my apprenticeship through Europe, my work through Europe. Some of it miserable at times. You know, sometimes Americans aren't exactly on the radar here. As nice people, especially in France, they just love to toy with it. Well, yeah, you can come in the kitchen. They talk to you in English first. If you don't speak French, tough, because we don't speak English. They walk over. You know, that's it. If you don't learn kitchen French, you're screwed. You know, you go to Italy, same thing. You're going to speak Italian in that kitchen. Maybe once in a while somebody will help you, but you have to grasp it quick. But when you learn their appreciation for product, how they treat food, how they look at food, the love of food, it just helps you build a great philosophy. If you don't get the opportunity, at least do it here. Seriously, take in everything you're learning, love it, enjoy it, you have an incredible craft, read these books, God. But more importantly, those two books. If you haven't read that book, I'm really going to worry about you. On the back on. So, and actually today we're going to cook a couple of dishes. So we're going to try and cook. I'm going to see which day I have, a good day or a bad day. Yeah.
You got my own.
Huh? You got my eye. That's good. That really concerns me. My flight home tonight won't be the same. Let's make sure you're not at the airport stalking me. Okay. So, we're going to do some sole today. Now, the interesting thing about the repertoire is if you do have a chance to get this book. But the repertoire is pretty much very basic. For example, when you talk about sole hollandaise. Poached in water, milk, salt, dressed on a civet with plain boiled potatoes served with hollandaise. It's basically just an outline of what the dish is. Because it basically assumes you know how to cook. It assumes you know a lot of the fundamentals, that you practice some things that you never practice. Huh? Yeah, if you want to, sure. Sole marguerite, which we're going to do today, poached, garnished with shrimps, mussels, coated with white wine sauce and glazed. What's glazed? What's glazed? Turnip and gratin, right? So under the salamander, which we don't have today, which is fine. But it assumes that, number one, garnished with shrimp and mussels. So it's not telling you how to cook them, it's not giving you a recipe. So it assumes that somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way that you went to the Cordon Bleu and learned how to cook. That you got out of law enforcement. Or got kicked out. I'm starting to wonder now. I now have an idea this all came to be with you.
See what had happened was.
So, in escoffier, shallow poached fillets flat with fish stock, drain and arrange them on a dish around with poached mussels and shelled prawns, coat with sauce and blanc and glaze. Same classical dish, different explanations. So there's no black and white. And I think Chef today taught you too about, what did you say about the recipes today, Chef? The stage they're at now, and where somebody like you was at?
We were talking about the difference in the way people think about food. This, we up here think about foods like cuisine. We think abstractly about food, and you guys at your level are thinking about recipes. That's why sometimes it looks easy what we're doing, but it's just because we think differently than you, and that's where you're going. That's your goal. Yeah.
So, what Chef is saying is, you're following recipes around. you're taking the books we give you, you're looking at those books, you're, for you, it's recipe development, but at some point, as you get comfortable, and, I saw some students today where you can tell they were sauteing, were very comfortable with what they're doing. It's not about the recipe, it's about what you do. And it really comes, I know it sounds corny, but I always tell people, it comes from here. It comes, guy. Try to get her name before I leave. But it really is about cooking. When I've been, I've judged a lot of chefs through the years and competed. And the best cooks, even the Master Chef's exam, I've judged everyone since '96. The chefs that pass come to cook. They love to cook, they know how to cook, they get behind that stove, they just cook it. The chefs that don't pass, they study, they're mechanical. I took mine, there was one chef next to me, every night he must have went home and printed everything out, every step, and he taped it all in the refrigerator. Good thing he brought a lot of Scotch tape with him. He didn't pass either, so hope he brought tape for that too. But the point was, he never cooked. Everything was following a step. Everything was so taking that book, you got to be in a restaurant, taking that book, trying to, it doesn't work that way. At some point, that learning and education gives you that foundation, gives you that understanding. From there, you just go to town. And when you get behind that stove, hopefully you love what you're doing. Hopefully you really get into it and say, man, I just love to cook. When you're working around, I don't care where you're working, what you're doing. It's like cooking for your family. And hopefully you like your family. You may cook a little differently. But that's really what it's about. It's entertaining. It's inviting people into your home. It's hospitality. Something chefs need to learn a lot of. So two of the versions we're going to do today is, this is the big craze. Bag in a box, so food in the bag. Sous vide. Sous vide's been around for ages. Marco Pierre White, when he cooked, actually sous vide his roast chicken. He'd brine his chicken, sous vide it, cooked it halfway, and then would roast it out with water. Because his belief is he wanted that breast done the same as the meat, so his procedure by doing it that way helped. Chefs have used cryovac machines for years. Butchers have used them. And the thing is, if you're going to do it, make sure it makes sense. This makes sense to me both ways, because, and some will argue differently. Some will argue that when you're poaching the fish, sorry